Hello, 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 hello. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Nice to see you, and I'm sure you are having a wonderful day. Well, I hope you're having a wonderful day. So welcome to today's Family Health Show Season 2. And we will be sharing with you our, let me just stop the screen share so you can see who's talking with you. There we go. We'll be sharing with you our session this week in the series Fearfully and Wonderfully Made. Today, your hosts are myself, Sharon Wallace, and
Jonathan Curlew.
Thank you, Jonathan. So we're looking forward to today's presentation, and we're praying that this will be another one where we will all learn together more about how amazing our bodies are, how fearfully and wonderfully we've been made, and how we need to take care of and be good stewards of this body that's been designed for us and only us to live in. But as our body is interconnected, we are also interconnected because we have friends, family. Come here, Edgar. We have other people in our lives, okay? So we're all connected as well, and we have the internet to connect us as well. So this is so good. So Jonathan, would you like to say anything as I share my screen?
What I was thinking about as well, as you were talking about how our lives the body was given to us, I was thinking that our lives is also a borrowed life, Sharon, and one day we'll have to give it back. When the time comes for us to die, we can't say, oh, I'm not ready yet. So that's something interesting to consider, that we also, though we have our lives, we have this life, and oftentimes we said it's our lives to live it the way we want to. It's also a borrowed life. So it's something worth keeping in mind.
It is, and we need to know who we've borrowed it from as well.
That's right.
Okay, I'm just trying to disable annotation. Maybe that's already engaged. Okay then, so right, we'll move on. So today's presentation is entitled the internal communication and connectedness, the hormonal system. As you can see, there's different glands, different organs in the body where our hormones are controlled from and released from. So we'll learn a lot more about this today, and we're looking forward to that. Okay, next on our slides, Jonathan.
So this is our disclaimer that we go by. Only a physician can diagnose, treat, and prescribe for illness or disease. Any information disclosed or discussed at the TTI Zoom talk show are for educational and informational purposes only. Please continue to seek professional medical advice from your general practitioner regarding any illness or disease you may be suffering from.
Thank you, Jonathan. Okay, would you like to say something about our Telegram groups, John, just to let people know that we have these shows, but we still stay in touch with each other during the week?
So yes, as a ministry, TTI ministry, we have these Telegram groups that anyone is free to join. This is where we share information weekly. We share tips, we share recipes. So we've got 3 groups running. We've got a women wellness group, we've got a spiritual group, and we've got a men's group. You're more than welcome to share any information. These groups are for educational purposes only as well, not for debates, but to we can join and we can share information, and we can encourage each other so we can grow together.
Thank you, Jonathan. Okay, so as well as the Family Health Show, we also have other things in the week. And on Tuesdays, we are currently doing discussions on our the Battle for the Mind series. And this is where we encourage you to get involved in your Bibles and learn more what the Lord has to say to us about how we grow spiritually as well as physically. So we're on lesson 4 that's coming up this Tuesday, the statue that tells the future. Last week's was a very, very lively discussion. In fact, we didn't want it to end. And that was taken by Lewis Harris. And this week, I'm sure we're going to have another lively session. So look out for that. As you can see, the Zoom ID details are there on the screen. So the ID is different to this platform that you're on today for the Family Health Show. So the number is 869-893-58138. Just take a screenshot of this image if you need to, or you'll see the poster promoted on the Telegram groups if you've joined one of those groups. Also, there's a few that are still on the WhatsApp groups. It's on there. I'm not sure if you've actually welcomed our YouTube viewers, Jonathan. Have we yet?
No, not yet. It would be fitting to do so now. So we'd just like to welcome all those who are joining us on the YouTube channel. I think as last time I checked, there were 8 people on there. Welcome, and I hope you enjoyed today's program.
That's right. Thank you. And it's not just those that are joining us live, because midweek or any time in the future, individuals could be watching this. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again. Okay, well, obviously we wouldn't see you live, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Well, I suppose they can share their questions if they have any questions they can ask their question on there, and we could get them answered live while we're doing the show today.
That's right. As we go along with the presentations, we take questions in the chat, and once the presentations, the formal presentation has been made, we can share these questions with the presenter for today. Okay, so moving on. So on a Thursday, TTI, which stands for True Temperance International, that's the name of our ministry, we have an essential oils class every Thursday. Currently, we're going through a New Start series. And so this Thursday coming, that's on the 28th of October, we'll be on trust. Okay, so on this one, we've encouraged individuals who have had experiences with their essential oils to share their testimonies with us on the session. So we're going to look at how the oils, they've been able to use them to enhance their well-being. So we look forward to that session. That's Thursday, the 28th of October. Essential oils and trust. Okay, so the next slide. Oh, and as you can see, the ID, the Zoom ID, again, is different. So the number, oh, I can't see very well without my glasses. Take a screenshot and enlarge it. Jonathan, can you read that out for us, please, the Zoom ID for the essential oils? I've got something running across my screen on that one.
So the number is 829-9752-4481. Again, 829-9752-4481.
Thank you, Jonathan. And currently, that's every Thursday at 7 p.m. So we look forward to seeing you on there with us. We have really good discussions and presentations. And the next slide is our 10-day detox program. Well, it's not our 10-day detox, but Louise, who comes on our presentations on our Family Health Show, she's actually presented on here as well with regards to detox. And she's a medical missionary who loves to share what she has learned and give advice. And I've received her advice several times. So Louise is running a 10-day detox program, and the details are there on the screen. So you can contact her. Her number is there, and she will let you know a bit more about this program, which is coming up on the 7th to the 16th of November. Okay. Basket of food looks very nice there. Nice and colourful. So we'd like to thank you all for your support that you've been given to us, whether it's through your coming on the program, sharing the link with your family and friends, and praying for us and supporting us for being with us all this time, since a long time, several months, over a year. And we also have our financial details. If you wish to support us financially, we've got some details on the screen there for you. So if you'd like to take a screenshot, we've got our account name, sort code, account number, and international bank number. So please take note of those if you wish to support us with your financial blessings. Now, every week we set a challenge on our program after the presentation, or we aim to set a challenge. And last week, Dr. Louisa set us a challenge for the brain power, with regards to the brain power salad. Did you try this, Jonathan, or did anyone in your house try it? And did you get to have any?
Yes, I think we had it Monday morning, and we had kale, some pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. I think there was some lettuce in there, and can't remember the rest, but it's something that we have, you know, regular.
Well, we'll be seeing, we'll actually be seeing, we won't be able to taste it, but we'll be seeing some of what you had for that breakfast. So yes, there's a brain power salad that was shared with us for this week that we were to try and take up the challenge. But in addition to that, we were looking at how our self-control, so modulating negative feelings. When we feel those emotions coming up, we should stop, breathe, compose ourselves, and then move forward. And another thing that was suggested was to try something that we're addicted, well, not try something, but try to give up something that we find ourselves being addicted to. And examples there could be a TV program, and we could be addicted to music. Not that things are bad for you, but it's how much time you spend with it will let you know whether or not it's an addiction. And so some things we could stop doing and replace it with something positive. So social media could be an addiction, a food item, some kind of activity, and replace it perhaps with being benevolent, thinking about somebody else, reaching out to somebody who needs help, or another positive thing. It could be learning a new skill. There's lots of things we could do. And we're looking forward to your testimonies. Anybody who wishes to give some feedback about how you got on with this week's challenge. However, before that, we're just going to share with you a gallery of some of the images that were shared on our various platforms this week. So Dolores shared with us her brain power salad. She was on it. She, remembered, including the tofu. So thank you for sharing that, Dolores. There's your brain power salad. So I hope this will encourage others. She's even got the dressing on there as well. So that's really good. Dolores, are you on here at the moment?
I am, yes.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Can you tell us, how did that taste?
Tastes really good.
Yeah, okay. Would you recommend it?
I would, definitely.
Okay. So did you notice any difference with your, did you feel any extra sharpness with your brain after having that salad? Or is that not fair to ask?
I can't say I did, but maybe I need to do it again and pay closer attention.
Okay, thank you. Right, so that was the brain power salad, and thank you for sharing that with us, Dolores. Okay, here, Jonathan, this is the breakfast salad that you was telling us about, which we can see was indeed fit for a king. So tell us about this one. You've got the ingredients on there to share with us, Jonathan.
Okay, so to your right of the screen, no, sorry, to your left of the screen, in that bowl, that green thing, that's kale. We actually put in the food processor and chop it up really fine. Then you have in there, you have some lettuce. We've got some sweet peppers, bell peppers for some people. We combine all of that with the pumpkin seed. The pumpkin seed, you see that brownie color, usually would be a little bit more green, but because we roast it. So, and then there was a drizzle of olive oil from Unocento Farm on there. So yes, it was lovely and I enjoyed it.
It does look very nice, and so that's what you had for breakfast.
That's breakfast. With other stuff, I think we had some rice and some lentils on the side.
And how long was it before you felt hungry again?
Well, we usually do 4 to 5 hours. So we'd have breakfast about 8 o'clock, and then And then would have lunch maybe about 1 o'clock, 1:30, somewhere there.
Okay, that really does look very nice, very tasty. Okay, I'm coming round for breakfast maybe one day.
You're more than welcome. I suppose that's kind of typical for us. We kind of do it the reverse way. So that's our dinner.
No, that's brilliant. That's how we should do. Breakfast. What is it? How does it say? Have breakfast
As
fit for a king.
Lunch as something,
Prince.
and then supper as pauper.
Supper like a pauper, if you have any at all.
Breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, and supper like a pauper.
Okay,
Yes,
okay. Thank you for that,
very
Veronica. But I'm off this week, Jonathan, so I may even come round.
You're more than welcome.
Okay. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we were encouraged to use ancient grains. So this was a lentil soup I had this week. As you can see, I had already started, but I thought, quick, take a picture before I finish it. I really enjoyed this one. So this was a lentil soup with kamut or Khorasan dumplings. That's where the ancient grains came in, with the dumplings. So that was a nice soup that I shared this week. Patricia shared with us a lentil takadal. Not sure how you say that, but I think that's right. And that looks really, really tasty. I think that may, Patricia, are you on here? Okay, maybe not. There could be pumpkin or carrots in there, but it looks very tasty. Thank you for sharing that. And I shared with you a light, you said supper like a pauper. So this was my light evening meal this week. I've been having juices, and that's mainly because there's individuals that I work with and colleagues and their family members have got coronavirus. And so I need to get my immune system boosted. And thank God I was inspired to start this at the beginning of the week and continue throughout the week. And that's the kind of evening meal I've been having. So here you can see I've juiced carrots, lemon and ginger, a whole lemon with about 4 carrots, a piece of ginger with some essential oils, and I've added to that mango, sunflower and pumpkin seeds. That's what I did for that week, that day, along with MSM powder and maca powder. So those, that blend was very good and I enjoyed it. So that's one thing I was sharing with you. And it's harvest time, Jonathan. It's harvest time. So I was reaping this week. As you can see, I've got some tomatoes and some yellow raspberries that a colleague gave me a cane and didn't think they were going to do well, but they have come through. So thank the Lord for the harvest. I'm looking at them in my garden right now, actually. And some may be wondering, why did you pick those tomatoes when they were green? Well, it's cold in the UK, Jonathan. Tell us what happens at this time of the year with our tomatoes, especially at night time.
So frost, they can get burnt. So it's much better if you can't cover them up outside and protect them outside, then it's only wise to take them in. You can wrap them with some brown paper or put them on the windowsill, and that should encourage them to ripen.
Thank you. And there was one of my lunchtime meals. So we took the version of the salad, the brain power salad, kind of slightly different. And so I still had some seeds in there and bell peppers and the avocado, but it wasn't in my dressing. I just chopped the avocado. So you can share and testify with your work colleagues how wonderful these things are that we learn from True Temperance International. Again, thanking you for your support. So, and our account details are on there for you. I think I've come to the end of the screen share, so I will stop that. Is there anybody that would like to share with us a testimony of any of the challenges that they may have taken up this week? Before we go into our presentation.
While we're waiting for someone to come, I notice Andy's asking Sharon, what is maca powder? Do you like to explain a little bit more to him?
To be honest, I put my hands up. I just know it's good for me. Jonathan, please, can you tell us what it is? I can get the packet.
I'm sure Dr. Louisa will share on that. So we'll wait for Dr. Louisa to explain.
But the MSM, I believe that's for joint care, joint health. And I, at the age that I am, I'm starting to feel it a bit. So any little helps. And I know it's, if I recall correctly, something that Natalia shared with us, it's good for hair growth as well. And
I think hormone, if I remember correctly.
right, and so that leads us quite well into today's presentation. Is Dr. Louisa on here? Okay, while we're waiting, I will just also share with you that in the salad, I also had some raw broccoli. Now, when I have broccoli, I prefer it raw. It's crunchy, it's got a nice flavor. I never used to like broccoli, but I learned to like it. And I really do enjoy, I definitely prefer my broccoli to be raw rather than cooked now. And it retains all the goodness. Is there anybody, like we were asking earlier, who tried any of the challenges from last week? Or even if it wasn't from last week, from the previous weeks, whether it was the ancient grains. Lorraine?
Yeah, hello, I'll try them. I'll try the amaranth porridge and it was great. It's similar to cornmeal porridge, if you know what that is.
That's Yvonne Sharon, not Lorraine.
That's it. Yeah, and I try the, is it frifa, it's pronounced? That rice.
Freke. Is it the freke one?
Yeah, it tastes similar to bulgur, and it's also cooked good rice and peas. It is very tasty. The whole family enjoy that.
So did you say you used it as an alternative for rice when you did it?
Yeah. And I also done the quiola as well for rice. It is really good, but that one is really nice and it goes with rice and peas very well. So you don't miss rice eating that one. And I've been doing all the grains as well. I tried chia grain and it's great with everything. I put it on everything.
Which one's that, chia?
Yeah, and I have a few more to try because I bought them, most of them.
Oh, brilliant. That's really good. Can you share the photos of whatever it is that you prepare, and then we can add it to the gallery?
I did put one up when I did it with the smoked salmon.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I put the rest of them up.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for sharing all the images. We've not shared all of them. I know there's quite a few that are coming through, whether it's on WhatsApp or Telegram. Really encouraged by what you've been sharing with us. I'm just having a look at YouTube. Just there's a message on there. Jonathan, can you just continue while I have a look over there?
I think we are asking for anyone to, if you want to share any testimony, now is the time. You can share your testimony. Has anyone got a burning testimony that they want to share?
Before the testimony, just a quick word from Patricia, who shared the recipe with us on with the dal. I'll just see if I can read what she's written here. She did actually also share a crumble as well, but I was running out of time to prepare the slides, so I couldn't put everybody's pictures in there, but without my glasses. Okay, so hi all. This is from Patricia Noel. The dal, and she's on YouTube at the moment, so this is her message. The dal was cooked with carrots. Okay, that's when I was wondering what those big orange things were, whether it was carrots or pumpkin. It was cooked with carrots, also made a cabbage and lentil dal, and made a plum, ginger, and blueberry crumble with seeds, dried fruits, and oats for topping. And yes, it did look nice, and perhaps that will feature next week in terms of the gallery. So thank you for sharing that one with us, Patricia. Really appreciate that. So those, like we said, if you're on YouTube, drop your messages. We have access to them, so we can present them to our presenter today, Dr. Louisa. So someone's asking me what MSM is. Now I'm going to have to get the jar, and perhaps maybe Dr. Louisa can share with us, because it's one of those long names, and I just need to pronounce it correctly. I don't want to get it wrong. And the other question was, what was the other thing? The other thing that I used, the maca powder. What's the maca powder for? What's that good for? So I'll introduce Dr. Louisa. Hi, friend. Hi, sister.
Hi, how are you, Sharon?
I'm fine, thank you.
You're the one who's not being nice to me this afternoon, starting me off with MSM. It's a very long word. I don't commit it to memory. It's some chemical stuff, but what we know is it's good for inflammation. All right. So it's methyl. If you Google MSM, you'll get the name, and then you'll promptly forget it unless you're writing an exam on it. But as for maca powder, that's what I need right now. Maca powder it falls in the family of ginseng, so it's Peruvian ginseng. It's actually good for boosting energy and endurance. So it's one of those ones you want to have when you're going to have a hectic day and you need that extra boost of energy. And yeah, that's just the long and short of maca powder. Tastes better than ashwagandha.
So is maca powder better to have at the beginning of the day or in the evening?
At the beginning of the day, because you do want to have that extra energy. I don't know what you need the energy for in the evening, Sharon.
Okay then. Right. So yes, perhaps it's better to have it in the beginning for your morning smoothie. Okay. MSL. Thank you, Veronica. It's methyl.
But Sharon, fair enough. It
methane.
tastes very nice in the evening because it's very soothing. It's got that warm feel to it. So I mean, you can use it with some cacao or some even carob, and almost like a rich kind of hot chocolate, so to speak. So it's very nice in that regard, I suppose.
Thank you. And thank you, Veronica, for sharing us what the phrase MSM, methyl sulfonyl methane. It's a joint support, and it's for connective tissue. We're talking about connectedness today. For connective tissue, I'm trying to make a link there, and healthy cartilage. So thank you, Michelle, as well. Great for joints. So are you ready for us, Louisa?
Yes. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Hello, Sanbonani, everybody throughout the world. Welcome to TTI True Temperance International Family Show and Season 2, where we're talking about wonderfully made, fearfully and wonderfully made, where the mystery of your body is revealed right here on TTI. The better you understand your body, hopefully the better choices you'll be able to make. This is week 2 of you seeing my face, so I will make sure that I disappear after this for a couple more weeks so you can miss me a little bit. Last week we were talking about the control center, which is your brain. Literally, just to sum it up, we looked at the voluntary section of the brain, which some of the challenges was to learn to just control yourself, modulate yourself, your feelings and your emotions. You can override them with your frontal lobe, with your prefrontal cortex. But we also looked at how magnificent the rest of the control center, the brain is, and how it's almost like a computer with all these connections that's happening so they can communicate with one another. And then you have these nerves that go down from the brain all the way to every part of the body, allowing the brain to get a sense and a feeling of what's happening throughout the body. And that was our challenge. And no, that was what we learned last week with the challenge to kind of just support and boost your brain function, as well as to learn to modulate. So we're looking at both the voluntary and the involuntary. Today, we will be looking at how then the body then communicates. So it's able to control, it's able to sense what is happening, it's able to see the needs of the body. How does it cause changes and effects in the body? But for those who are joining us for the first time, and for those who've missed some of the things, I always like to do a bit of a recap. I recapped last week, but I always present that the body is an intelligent design. And here we are revealing the mystery. And the human body is intelligently designed. It's able to govern itself. It grows itself. It manages itself. It adjusts itself, defends and protects itself, repairs and heals. So it's well equipped and well designed to be self-governing. And a lot of what you will hear today is the body self-governing, but wait to the end to see what role you play, okay? It's important to know that, okay, the body's got this under control, that it's supposed to have certain things under control. Understand how they work so that you know what you ought to do. There's always the part that the designer has done, and then there's a responsibility that we have to do. The body gets its instructions from the DNA. That's a topic for another day. And it's able to adapt, to compensate, to shift, depending on what's happening around you. It does not automatically break just because we don't abide by the laws and we don't give it what it needs. It doesn't. But if it's abused, and if this is continued consistently, the body can break, okay? And if it doesn't break, if your body doesn't break and you've been abusing it, the damage can be passed on to your children. So your future posterity can be affected. So it's important that that doesn't happen. And one of the things you don't want is you don't want any organ system being decompensated or failing. So when you have failure of an organ system, then it has ceased to function, and that can create problems. These are the reasons why we need to study the body. We need to unravel that mystery. Today we'll be unraveling the mystery of how the body communicates. How does your body know that your sugar level is low, or that you're dehydrated, or any of these many things that happen, or that you need to burn some fat, or that you need to stop? Okay, we need to understand how the body is meant to work. I say meant to work because for a lot of us, our bodies are not working the way they're supposed to work. They're in a compensatory state because of various factors. We need to know how the body adapts. We need to know what is normal, what is not. We need to know the warning signs and symptoms. We need to know and to do how to take care of the body for optimum function and how to help it to repair. So using things like MSM, we know that we undergo a lot of inflammation. We're walking, we're running, we're jumping, we're creating damage to our cartilage. We want to be taking some MSM to help with that. We know that we're using a lot of energy. I had a presentation in the morning. I have one now. My brain is feeling a bit tired. Some maca powder would be able to help me. But in the absence of maca powder, water will also do. Great for the brain. Okay, so, and these are the systems that we will be looking at in this season 2, breaking them down. We've already looked at the digestive system. We've already looked at the nervous system. Today we'll be looking at the endocrine system. And I believe David Bartholomew will be coming to speak to us about the muscular and the skeletal system, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot that we're going to learn. We've looked at the respiratory system as well. So we're learning and we're understanding, and I hope that we are also doing. This is a summary of what we spoke about last week. I've already said it. There's a voluntary control center and an involuntary control center. But the body, the control center, the brain, once it's in control, it needs a way to communicate. So the brain is the headquarters, all right? So when it picks things up, it needs to be able to communicate with the rest of the body as to what needs to happen. So there are 2 ways that the body will communicate. Fast, short-acting communication, which are your nerves, like I'm talking with my hands all this time. This is fast, short-acting communication. Today we'll be looking at the slower, longer-lasting communication that happens in the body. And that's why we're talking about the interconnectedness and the internal communication, which uses the hormonal system, and some of you might know it as the endocrine system. So it's going to be using various different hormones for the body to communicate. So let's get into today's study. All right, going back. So what you will see is that I want to show the link between the brain, which is the nervous system, and the endocrine system. So the hypothalamus there represents the brain. Okay, this is where information in the brain from the nerves and everything is coming from. And then this part of the brain, you will see it's blue on your screen. If you can see my mouse, I think I'm showing it there. And then there's a gland called the pituitary gland. All right, this is all in your head, but the pituitary gland links your brain, your control center, with the endocrine center, because the pituitary gland releases hormones. What are hormones? Hormones are chemicals or substances that are made in one part of the body and they travel to another part of the body to have an effect. So for example, insulin, we all know about insulin. It is a hormone that is made in your pancreas, and it affects your sugar levels by acting on your muscles and by acting on your liver, and acting on sometimes your fat cells to store things in that regard. So now let's look at some of the organs of this endocrine system. We're talking about the internal communication of the body, all right? Starting with the hypothalamus, which is the part of your brain, which is part of your control center. It communicates with the pituitary gland, telling it to release these chemicals to go tell other organs what it is they ought to do for the body to have a specific effect. Okay, we have one of the organs we have is a thyroid gland. I think a lot of you have heard about the thyroid gland. It's in your neck, and this is a gland that releases hormones that affect metabolism, so that affect how fast you burn up things. I like to say that the thyroid gland is almost like a conductor. All right. It regulates how things work. It tells the cells, all right, go ahead and burn up things. All right, now stop burning up things. Go ahead and do this, stop doing that. So that's what the thyroid gland, that affects metabolism. It's a very important gland. If it doesn't work, a lot of other systems also do not work properly. All right, and we also have the parathyroid glands, okay? And they help to regulate calcium levels in the blood. All right, if you could kindly help me, Jonathan, in the background, to mute some people, then we'll be able to continue with our presentation. We're talking about the communication in the body today, internal communication, how the brain as a control center communicates with the rest of the other organ systems to effect a change in the body. We also have, and you see both men and women have similar communication systems. There'll just be mild differences. We have the adrenal glands, added to the renal glands, which is the kidneys. They thought they were part of the kidneys. So the adrenal glands sit on top of the kidneys, and they help with your fight and flight response, but they also help with controlling the minerals in your body as well. Then we have the pancreas, which is where levels of sugar are also affected in your body. So the pancreas will be able to make something like insulin. Then it will be able to bring down the levels of sugar in the body. And then the differences in men and women will be with the testes and the ovaries. The testes will be releasing the male hormone, testosterone, and the ovaries and the female will be releasing female hormones like estrogen and progesterone. All right, so these are the organs that we have. These are not all the organs, but these are the important parts of the hormonal system. You will see as I go on, I'll be mentioning other things that you have not seen. For example, the thymus is also there as well, but I think it will be in the other slides. Now let's look at the pituitary. Remember the pituitary, I said this is the organ in the brain, a little gland in the brain that connects the nervous system with the endocrine system. The nervous system is that fast-acting system, so the body uses it to get a fast response from the body, but the body uses the endocrine system to get a more slower response from the body, and the response is longer lasting, okay? So the pituitary will make several hormones. I think there are 7 or 9 that it makes. There's a hormone, it's called antidiuretic hormone. As you can see from the name, anti means against, diuretic, against losing water from the body, okay? So this antidiuretic hormone stops you from losing water in your body. So it works on your kidneys, okay? And also one of our favorite hormone, which also works as a neurotransmitter. So what's the difference between a hormone and a neurotransmitter? Hormones tend to be longer acting and they work on other parts of the body, while neurotransmitters, neurobrain, tend to be substances that work in the brain. So such as your serotonin, but sometimes you'll read and you'll see that serotonin is referred to as a hormone, such as your dopamine. So those chemicals that act in your brain are called neurotransmitters. When they act outside of the brain, they're generally called oxytocin. So you see that oxytocin would also have an effect, especially on muscles of the uterus. So it's also made by the pituitary. What the pituitary also does is it will release a chemical prolactin, which will affect the breast, making a woman to release breast milk. So that's why if you're a woman and you are secreting white liquid and you're not pregnant, it could be an indication that your pituitary is hyperfunctional, all right? So that's one of the disorders that can happen with an overfunctional pituitary gland. But also what the pituitary does is it releases hormones that go to tell other organs to also release hormone. So you will see that it will release a hormone to tell the thyroid to release its hormone. It will release hormones to tell the ovaries or to tell the testes to release their hormones. But it also releases hormones that act directly, for example, the growth hormone that is released as well. And it also has another hormone that works on the adrenal glands, which is your ACTH hormone. So these are some of the hormones that allow when the brain says, this person needs to grow. Okay, so that's your control center deciding that this child is 12 years old, they need to grow further or go into puberty. Let us release more growth hormone. Let us release reproductive hormones to change their body structure. That is how the brain, using the endocrine system, communicates with the rest of the brain that this is what we ought to do. We're talking about internal communication. And here's a bit of a clearer picture as to what needs to happen. So you'll see that the thyroid gland will release a hormone called thyroxine, which controls the rate, how fast you break down things. So people with a hypo, with a low functioning thyroid gland, they will have a slower metabolic rate, and then people with a high functioning thyroid gland will be burning things up a bit faster. Okay, you'll see that the adrenal gland will release things like adrenaline as well, which will prepare your body for emergencies. So when your brain senses that there is an emergency, and it gets your nerves ready to fire up your muscles, it also communicates to your adrenal gland that release adrenaline because we need to run, or we need to fight, or this is what we need to do. All right. When your brain senses that there is a stressful situation, it will speak to your adrenal glands to release cortisol, and you will have the effects of that stressful event that is happening. We've spoken about the pancreas and how the pancreas releases insulin, but a lot of people have not heard about glucagon. So when your sugar levels are low, what does the pancreas do? It releases something that's the opposite of insulin, which is glucagon, which will then help to raise the blood sugar level. All right. And you will see how all this communication, where it starts and how it happens. We've looked at the ovaries, and we've looked at testosterone, which is important for sperm production and for men being men, okay? And the female hormones are responsible for women being women and their characteristics. So it's important to have all these hormones balanced in the body. And then you see that the thymus there, which is one of the organs that from the day you're born starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller until it completely disappears behind your breastbone. It's there to stimulate the production and promote the production of your white blood cells. So it's part of it assists your immune system to be able to work properly. Okay. Now, this is generally how the body communicates. So I'm showing you the link between the brain, the chemicals, as well as what's affected. So your hypothalamus, remember your hypothalamus in your brain? It will sense that your blood sugar level is low. It will sense that you are dehydrated, okay? Because it's the control center. It's supposed to know all of these things. Once it senses any of these things, it will sense that you need to grow. It will sense that it is getting late at night and you need to be able to fall asleep. Once it senses any of these things, it then issues a command. The hypothalamus will say, we need to bring this blood sugar down, we need to raise the blood volume, we need to put this person to sleep, we need to do 1, 2, 3. Then it will tell the pituitary gland to release a communicator that's going to go start this process happening. So that communicator is a hormone. So if the command is, we need to make Dr. Louisa grow or grow her muscle, the pituitary gland will release a growth hormone, okay? And so if it says we need to make sure that this child who's 12 starts to have characteristics of a woman or of a man, then it will release the reproductive hormones like your follicle stimulating hormone or your luteinizing hormone from the brain, from the pituitary. So these will then travel. It needs a transport, right? So the pituitary makes this chemical, and it says, okay, here's the chemical that needs to go and tell the rest of the body what it needs to do, a part of the body what it needs to do. Then the blood comes right there at the brain of the pituitary. It takes this chemical and it transports it to wherever it needs to act, okay? So you will not have the thyroid stimulating hormone going to act on your liver. It is very specific. It will go to the thyroid, and when it gets to a thyroid, it will find a receptor. So it will find a place that it can attach, and it will go into the thyroid. So the thyroid then will receive the signal, and the signal will say, we need you to make more thyroid. Or if it's a growth hormone and it's going to the muscles, it will say to the muscles, we need you to grow. Or if it is to prepare a woman for pregnancy, it will tell the ovaries to tell the uterus to form the blood or to release the progesterone to prepare for pregnancy. So that's how it works. The hypothalamus issues a command. The pituitary gland, if it's involved, releases a communicator. The communicator travels in the blood to a receptor. The receptor receives the signal. Then the organ executes the command and affects the change. Isn't that beautiful? It is very well coordinated. I mean, if governments could work this way and organizations could work this way, there would be constant communication. But here's the beautiful thing. Once that command has been executed or the change has been affected, the hypothalamus is able to pick it up. It's able to say, okay, the blood sugar level was 12, now it's back at 8, so we can stop the command, all right? Or the hypothalamus can say, oh, the blood sugar level was 12 and it's still at 12, nothing has happened. Let me issue the command again until it has effected the change that it wants. This is the general communication process that happens. The brain as the control center picks up what needs to happen. It uses the hormonal system to release a chemical to travel in the blood to go to a certain area and to affect the change. Once the change has been affected, there's a feedback mechanism to say, okay, we need to stop, or we need to increase, or we need to lower what needs to happen. And that is how our body functions. We are fearfully and wonderfully made indeed. So here's the example. If somebody is dehydrated, what happens is the hypothalamus, because it's got receptors, it will realize that, no, man, the volume of fluid, of blood, it's dropping, okay? And the concentration of things, because the volume of blood is dropping or fluid is dropping, the sodium is too high or the potassium, the salts in the blood are too high. And it'll say, this is not good. Okay, we need to retain, this is your control center. We need to retain more water because this person is not drinking water. So we need to keep as much of the water as possible. So what does it do? It releases, it tells the pituitary, look, release the anti-diuretic hormone. What is that? Anti-diuretic, stop losing, because diuresis is loss of fluid through the kidneys, stop losing fluid through the kidneys. So this is released in the pituitary, it travels in the blood, goes all the way to the kidneys, and it tells the kidneys, look, you need to keep as much of the water as possible. And then it keeps the water. And therefore now you start to see that the blood volume increases, your urine becomes darker because you're not losing as much fluid, and you don't continue to lose fluid. And then the brain, as it's doing this, it will likely also try and get you to drink water if you're thirsty. But if you're out in the desert and you're not able to drink water, at least you know that your antidiuretic hormone is working. What's important to realize is at night when you sleep, your antidiuretic hormone actually goes up. That's why you don't go to the bathroom as much in the night as you do during the day. But for some elderly people, what we found is that this doesn't work very well. And there's a wonderful herb, valerian. It helps to improve your antidiuretic hormone. So if you're living with somebody who's a bit older, they're struggling to sleep, and because of that, they're also going to the toilet a lot during the night, you can try giving them a capsule of valerian. I recommend it as a capsule and not as a tea, because it really smells terrible. You will not be able to drink it. It smells like feet, just like hops. Give them a capsule of valerian, and that will help them to improve their antidiuretic hormone, to retain water in the night, and then be able to go in the morning. So this is how the communication happens. So this will happen whether this was blood sugar levels, this will happen if it was the growth hormone. Always the brain through the hypothalamus picks it up, tells the pituitary that pituitary is involved, travels through the blood to a certain area, has an effect, and then it terminates the need for that to continue. Now, this is what we call hormonal balance. When all parts are working well, when the hypothalamus is able to pick what needs to happen, and it's able to issue the command, and the command is followed right through and through to the end until the effect has been done. But sometimes this does not happen. And this is when we say somebody has an hormonal imbalance. And this could relate to a lot of things. A lot of the times we assume that when somebody has a hormonal imbalance, it means they're not making enough of a certain hormone, but that's not necessarily the case. And here I've just highlighted 4 things that could be going wrong with somebody's hormones, such that things are not working very well. And I'm not specific to any kind of hormone. There could be a communication breakdown, a defective crosstalk. So for example, the body might not be able to sense what is happening and to respond appropriately. This would be very dangerous. This is the body not being able to pick up that the sugar levels are too high, or that somebody is dehydrated, but this is very rare, because that would mean that the control center is not working. But it could also be because of timing, and therefore communication is not happening so long. The body, you know that the body goes through different rhythms and cycles. So there's the circadian rhythm. It could be at a change between day and night, but it could be that it's in the winter, so the kind of timing of the body is affected. I remember when I was in Russia, I struggled to fall asleep because the sun was setting at 10 and then it was rising at 2 a.m. So my circadian rhythm was completely thrown out. But because I understood what was happening, I was able to tell the other athletes that what they need to do at about 7 p.m., because we needed them to be in bed by 9, draw their thick curtains, create that darkness so that you have the circadian rhythm happening and be able to sleep. Communication breakdown can happen when you're traveling and you're jet lagged, because you're traveling from one time zone to another. So this affects your timing, this affects your circadian rhythm. Also through changes in life, like puberty and menopause, okay? The cycles and the rhythm of life start to change. So the communication might not necessarily be perfect. So that's why some teens in the puberty and some women, when they go through menopause, they will have these hormonal imbalances, because the transition is not as smooth as it's supposed to be. So it's important to realize that's just the communication breakdown. It can be tweaked and it can be worked on, or normally it will pass once the transitionary phase is passed. Okay, another thing that can affect this communication, or this internal communication and connectedness of the body, is damage to an organ, a receptor, or a cell. Okay, this damage could be because of genetics. So people who have dwarfism, there could be a genetic error or damage, as well as type 1 diabetes. There could be damage to the pancreas in itself, but we're finding more and more that it's also a condition of lifestyle. But genetics can affect organs or receptors or the cells that are supposed to do a certain thing. Aging as well. For example, for women, the ovaries stop working. All right, and certain women's ovaries will age faster depending on lifestyle. and therefore they're not able to continue making the estrogen and the progesterone that they're supposed to make. Or, you know, when women have polycystic ovarian syndrome as well, this can cause hormonal imbalances, not necessarily because of aging, but because of the damage to the ovaries. And then certain diseases as well. Liver dysfunction can reduce the breakdown of hormones, and you will see why. The challenge that I made for today was relating specifically to this. The liver is very important. It doesn't just filter out toxins. It actually breaks down some of the hormones. So in men, the liver would break down estrogen so that you don't end up with gynecomastia. That's why when men end up with liver cirrhosis, some of the things that they end up happening is they can end up having developing breasts because their estrogen levels start to go up. So it's important to have a very well functioning liver that's not overwhelmed, so that it's able to break down hormones that are not needed. And these hormones, they need to be passed out of the body. So you need to have a clean colon to be able to get rid, because otherwise they just keep recycling and being reabsorbed into the body. We're talking about internal communication, and what are some of the things that can go wrong with this internal communication and with the hormones. And remember, the thing about hormones, unlike nerves are fast acting, all right? So hormones are long lasting. So any hormonal imbalance, when you need to restore it, you will need time. You cannot just try and rebalance your hormones in one day, because there's a long lasting effect that happens. So even in balancing them, you need to give the body time to adjust. There could be interference with communication or the signal. A lot of women, especially those who are attending the classes on essential oils, we know about endocrine disruptors. A lot of skin products and foods that we eat actually interrupt our endocrine function. Things like fluoride. Fluoride actually affect your thyroid's ability to function. Okay, so too much fluoride can affect the thyroid's ability to function, and therefore the body is not able to use iodine properly, and then a person will have a thyroid dysfunction. Okay, and also nutritional deficiencies, because remember, hormones are substances, chemicals in the body. They need to be built up. They're either made from amino acid, just maybe a single amino acid combined with something, or a chain of amino acids, or they're actually made from fats, things like cholesterol. So if you're having nutritional deficiencies, then your body will not be able to make these hormones. So if you're lacking in iodine, your thyroid will not work very well. If you're not having enough fats, not making enough cholesterol because of nutritional deficiencies, you'll not be able to make a lot of your hormones, your reproductive hormones. So it's very important that we be eating to be able to make these chemicals, because they are responsible for our body to be able to communicate, to grow and to maintain and to restore and to function the way it's supposed to happen. So what are the things that can be affected by hormonal imbalances? Heart rate. We know that people with hypothyroidism and low functioning thyroid, their heart rate tends to be slow. Those with hyperthyroidism, their heart rate tends to be high. Okay, hormonal imbalances can affect your sleep cycle if you're making too much of a stress hormone, or you're not making enough of the melatonin, and we will see why. Okay, hormonal imbalances can affect metabolism and appetite. So somebody with a thyroid that's hyperfunctioning, they will come and they will eat out your house, and they will not even gain weight. Okay, and then somebody with a low thyroid, I mean, I have seen a gentleman whose thyroid levels were so low, he just could not lose any weight, and he weighed over 200 kilograms. I don't know how much that is in pounds, but he was quite big. And so it's important to not just say to people, go and lose weight and control your appetite, because sometimes it is a hormonal issue, and that's going to take a moment to be able to control, as I say. All right. Hormonal imbalances will affect reproductive cycles. So women will find that they don't have their periods, or their periods are not regular. Men may find that they have problems with fertility as well, and as well as women. All right. Hormonal imbalances will affect sexual function. Okay. A person can have low libido. Hormonal imbalances will affect mood. You know, as women, when we say estrogen is a little monster, all right, every 7 days in a month we become crazy. That could be because of your hormonal balance affecting how you feel. Men can feel, especially when they go through andropause, which is male menopause, they may find that they don't have the desire to do the things that they used to do, not just sexually, but they don't have the ambition, they don't have the drive, they're just feeling lethargic. They sit in front of the TV and the TV is watching them and they're just down. But then when you start to pick their testosterone level, it affects their mood, it affects their confidence, it affects how they feel about themselves. Okay, hormonal imbalances will affect stress levels, will release cortisol, which is a stress hormone, which can wreak havoc in your body, causing sugar levels to go up, blood pressure to go up. So it's important to see if the reason you have diabetes is not because of hormonal imbalances. If there's too much cortisol stops insulin from working. So you may be thinking that there's a problem with your pancreas and insulin. And to know the problem is that you're in a highly stressful lifestyle, job, marriage, whatever it is, and this is affecting and causing you to be diabetic. All right. Hormonal imbalances can affect the general growth and development. We need the growth hormone. Children who are generally sick and they're not able to sleep well at night, they don't grow very well. If you're not sleeping very well, it becomes very difficult to continue to build your muscles, because you still need the growth hormone as you're growing. And as we get older, because the growth hormone is made in the pituitary gland, when it doesn't work as well as it used to, that's why we as older people tend to lose their muscle mass, because they're not making as much growth hormone. So it's important to use your growth hormone now. Make your muscles now, gentlemen. You don't want when you're 70, you're starting. Yes, it's good. It's never too late to start exercising, but it can become a little bit more difficult because your pituitary may be damaged by years and years of living. That's just one of the wear and tear effect that happens in our body. And also our hormonal imbalances can affect body temperature. So women with hormonal imbalances will have these hot flushes. People with high metabolism will create feeling a lot of heat. The ability to tolerate heat and cold may be affected in thyroid dysfunction, which is a hormonal imbalance as well. Okay, so these are also some of the things. I just thought they were nice to have a look at. Weight gain could be because of hormonal imbalances. So if you're struggling to lose weight and you have done all, and you've done your cleanses and what, and you're still not losing that weight, and it's not because of the microbiome, it could be because your hormones are imbalanced. So have a look at that. Low libido, as we already mentioned, could be because of hormonal imbalance. Anxiety, mood swings, depression, that could be because of hormonal imbalances as well. Insomnia, lack of quality of sleep, because you need the hormone melatonin to be able to sleep. And melatonin also is made from serotonin. So you need that to help you feel calm as well. So quality of sleep could be because of hormonal imbalances. You could be making cortisol, which then does not allow you to sleep, because cortisol is a stress hormone. It says to you, there's a problem, we need to deal with it now. There's no time for sleeping. Problems with digestion, so slow digestion, gas, bloating, could be hormonal problems. And you're thinking that it's because you're eating the wrong food. Okay. Hunger and cravings, that could be because of hormonal imbalances, such as adrenal fatigue, where your adrenal glands are just not working the way they're supposed to anymore. Night sweats and hot flashes could be hormonal imbalances, as we've said, especially in women going through menopause. And fatigue could also be a sign of hormonal imbalance. So I thought this was just a lovely chart to just have a look at some of the signs and symptoms of hormonal imbalance. If you're hormonally imbalanced, it means the communication in your body is not happening well. Metabolism, breaking down of food and making things, is not happening very well. Growth is not happening very well. Sexual function and fertility is not happening very well. Your mood is not well. So you'll find that this body that's supposed to be a joy and help you experience life in its fullness, it's not going to happen, because there are certain things that are just not happening very well. So this is where we use our conscious mind, which we spoke about. We have a privilege and a responsibility over our bodies. A lot of the things I have said, the body knows that it's supposed to do that. What our responsibility is to know how the hormonal system works and what it does. So now you know more about the thyroid gland and the thyroid hormone. You know about growth hormone, even though you're not a child, what you need it for. You know about the reproductive hormones. You know about testosterone and estrogen and progesterone. You know that there are all these hormones and cortisol that are regulating your mood and your behavior and all of these things. Now, what I want us to be able to do, what you need to be able to do, what you need to learn to do as you watch this over and over on our YouTube page, is to discern when things go wrong. So you need to have a look at the effect and say, okay, so I'm gaining weight, or I'm not able to tolerate hot and cold, or I'm having hot flushes, and then look for the cause. All right. So we're teaching to reason from cause to effect, not just to say, okay, what can I use? I'm having hot flushes. What can I use? Look for the cause. Is it a hormonal issue? All right. Or is it something else? So reason for cause to effect. And then after that, you're to assist your body to restore it to optimum functionality. And that's what we're going to be looking at. So your prefrontal cortex, your frontal lobe, is to help you to study what you're doing today and learn, to be able to reason, and then to be able to make decisions based on what you have discerned is the cause of something, and therefore what do you need to do. Okay. It's important. I like to teach principles. I don't want a scenario where people are memorizing that I can use this herb for that, because there can be many causes. Like I said, diabetes could be caused by high cortisol levels, and it has nothing to do with insulin. So you need to be able to reason for yourself, especially for yourself, because you know yourself better. If you tell me you've got diabetes, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. I'm going to ask you what you eat. You're going to say, but I'm on a very healthy diet. I exercise, I do this, I do this, I do this. You know that, oh, okay, from what I'm understanding, my diabetes is caused by too much cortisol. And then you need to know, what do I then do now that I know the cause? That way, your treatment is targeted. You are going directly to the cause of the problem, and you're not just trying to use any and everything, okay? Because no two people are the same, and therefore their conditions are not the same. So once again, let's look at restoration for a hormonally balanced lifestyle. We want all your hormones to be in balance, okay? And we always start with the general principles of restoration. Sleeping your 6 to 8 hours before 10 p.m., exercising, getting your sunlight, being temperate. But I just mentioned it there in case somebody has adrenal fatigue. That's something you can look at as you're using ashwagandha, or you might need DHEA. And I suppose I'll do the challenge at the end, but I like to do it now. It's that the challenge is very easy in assisting with hormonal balance. As I mentioned, the body is doing so much, and we don't just want to balance one system or one hormone. So if we clean our colon this week and we support our liver, your hormones have a better chance of being balanced, because when you clean your colon, you get rid of excess waste, and therefore when your body needs to get rid of any of the excess hormones, the colon is clean enough to do that. And if you support your liver, which is responsible for breaking down your hormones, some of your hormones, then it will work well. How do you do that? Cleansing your colon, you could buy a colon cleanser, you could go on a high fiber diet, you could put psyllium husk in your cereals, or you could use senna as a tea, or you could take a glass of flaxseed in the morning. There are many ways to clean a colon. So that's number one, clean your colon for a day or up to 3 days, depending on the method that you're using. And then supporting your liver, you can drink dandelion tea. Okay, so just take dandelion, make a tea, drink it 3 times a day for the week, and that will help your liver. Remember that Louise has a detox program, so that would also help. And then drink lots of water to flush. That is the challenge that I have for you for the week. And I will hand over to Jonathan and Sharon, so they can help me facilitate with the questions.
Okay, Zimbabwe.
Sorry, I was muted and I was trying to manipulate different things there. Thank you very much, Dr. Louisa. Can you repeat the challenge for us again, please?
All right, so the challenge for the coming week is to cleanse your colon, and there are different ways to cleanse your colon. You can get a reliable colon cleanser, or you can take psyllium husk and you can add it to your cereals. It doesn't taste like anything, but it makes things a bit thick, so be careful with it. Or you can just put it in water and drink it. Or if not psyllium husk, you can use a flaxseed that's ground into powder. Okay, or you can buy senna and drink that as a tea. You can do that for a day or up to 3 days. That's cleansing your colon. As you're cleansing your colon, you also want to support your liver. And so you can use a general tea like dandelion tea. You just drink that 3 times a day for the week, and that should help support your liver. And also remember to drink enough water during this time to flush out the toxins from your body. And that will just be a general way to help your hormonal system work better.
Thank you very much, Dr. Louisa. Just for everyone who is in the room, just to let you know, we are not letting in anyone in for the rest of the show. So please try and stay on for those who are in the room. There are some people trying to get in without names, and we are not letting in anyone without name either. Well, for that matter, we're not letting in anyone else for the remainder of the show.
So for the 69 of us, our devices that are on, praise the Lord, you're on. If for some reason you lose connection and you're not one of the admins, then we will ask you to join us on YouTube. We have sent the link there. So you're more than welcome to join us. You can either go with the link that's shared in the, well, actually it was shared in the waiting room. Can we share it again in the chat room here? And I've forgotten what I was going to say now. But anyway, if you saw me doing all of this, waving around frantically, because I have some younger technical helpers, and one of them was a bit over enthusiastic, telling me that I wasn't muted or telling me that I was muted when I wasn't, and he was trying to mess about with my screen. So do forgive me there. Right, so we have lots and lots of questions in the chat there for us, lots and lots. So if there are any questions that are coming through, we're not going to be unmuting. I don't think we'll be unmuting. I think we'll just take the questions as they are written, both on YouTube and on Zoom, both chats. Is that okay, Jonathan?
Yeah, we're really apologizing because I mean, it just messes all up for everybody else. So,
Okay.
and I'm sure I can see a lot of questions and people would like to ask, really. So
yeah, but we do have the chat facilities, so there's plenty in there. I'm going to try and scroll through. Some of it's coming from the presentation from the gallery where we were sharing stuff about MSM and maca powder, which you have mentioned in your presentation as well, Dr. Louisa. So I think that's fair enough if we can share some of what's come on through there. Some people were asking where they can get the maca powder from or the MSM, and I search on the internet, you'll be able to find somewhere where you can get it from. There's a regular place called Amazon. I think people tend to go there, but a good health food store should be able to have it as well. Someone was giving us lots of information about MSM, and thank you, Holistic Q, and those of you who have done your research. People have said they've used it to grow their hair, they've used it for joints, and lots of other things. And there's a long list, which we will post in the chats, of the benefits of MSM. So let's move on. Next thing.
So there's a question for you, Dr. Louisa. It says, can imbalanced hormone cause body odor?
I can't find a direct link necessarily between body odor and balanced hormones, because body odor mostly has to do with the bacteria that's on our skin. So as you sweat, and depending on what bacteria you have, then you can end up with body odor. Sometimes what you eat can influence that, but I cannot really find a direct link between hormones and body odor, no.
Okay, here's one question that was asked. Thank you very much for that answer. Does a hysterectomy cause hormonal imbalance?
Technically, it shouldn't if your ovaries have been left, because the ovary, what's taken out, the uterus, is not a hormone, is not a hormonal organ. All right. So hormones act on it. Your ovaries would act on the uterus. But if all they did was remove that and they left your ovaries in, that's why you will find that you won't need to go on hormone replacement therapy, and you may only experience menopause later. It's just that the only thing that's going to be different when you've had a hysterectomy is you won't have your cycle, you won't have your menstrual cycle, but your hormones can still be going on. It is not recommended that your ovaries be removed if there's no reason to remove that, so that that's not affecting your hormonal balance.
Yeah, sorry. The next question is, where can I get a herbal alternative to melatonin? A herbal alternative to melatonin?
One, I don't know. Two, my recommendation is always to find out why you're not making enough melatonin. The body, your pineal gland is responsible for making melatonin. So unless you're taking melatonin at other times in the day to help you to sleep, which I would not recommend. So does that make sense? You have a pineal gland that's supposed to be making melatonin. So the question is, why is it not making it? Then a lot of people will get the synthetic melatonin, but that should only also be for a little while, because the hormonal system, it's very balanced. You see, how much you make is exactly how much you need. So when you're taking these hormones synthetically and they're extras, they don't work as well as when we make them. So I don't know about alternative. Maybe, well, we can't have people, but maybe next week somebody will talk about it. But my recommendation would be, why do you not have enough melatonin? Is something wrong with, your circadian rhythm is going to be affected. That means other hormones are going to be affected. So rather that be corrected if possible, rather than just taking a supplement, even if it's a synthetic one. I don't know. I know that doesn't exactly answer your question, but that's why I always talk about reasoning from cause to effect, especially when it comes to hormonal issues. You want your body to be regulating, because your body is very precise. Your body will precisely release how much thyroxine you need, how much insulin you need, how much glucagon you need, how much of growth hormone you need. We can never get that right as doctors. So if you can restore that system, that organ is still there. I know they didn't take out your pineal gland, so your melatonin auto release system can be restored. It can be restored. It may take time, but it can be restored.
So, Doc, I'm not sure which question you just answered because my mind is everywhere, but I see one in the chats. Forgive me if this is the one that you were answering. Someone say, I have hyperthyroidism. I take 100 cmg of thyroxine every day. Can I stop this medication if I eat a healthy plant-based diet?
So I don't recommend people stopping their hormonal treatments or any kind of treatment when I have not personally assessed why they're on that. So you have a low functioning thyroid. The question is why? If your thyroid was taken out, you cannot stop your medication because you will have no way to make that thyroid hormone. That's why I always say to people, be careful before you take out any organ from your body. So if your organ has been taken out, no, you cannot stop your medication, because then you will not be able to make that. So you need that synthetic hormone to help with your metabolism. If it's just that your gland is not functioning well, maybe because you're iron deficient, or mostly if you're just iron deficient, or it's lacking nutrients or something like that, then when you change your diet, trust me, as you continue to go see your doctor, they will be able to, because they will realize that now you're becoming hyper, okay? So they will start lowering your dosage. So in short, if the thyroid has been removed, no, continue. If it has not, change your diet, make sure that you get iodine. You can use something like sea moss, you can use something like bladderwrack. Only if you're hypothyroid. You can exercise, just apply all those principles, continue seeing your doctor, have your thyroid levels checked, okay, your thyroid stimulating hormone and your hormonal levels. And then your doctor would be able to tell you and decrease your dose or completely take you off the medication when it is not necessary. But you need the thyroid hormone, you need it.
Okay, so thank you very much for that. I'll take one more question on Zoom and then I'll go to the YouTube questions. There was one that said, is MSN good for diabetic neuropathy? I believe they meant MSM. Is that good for diabetic neuropathy?
Diabetic neuropathy is caused by damage to the nerves. Nerve repair takes quite a while, okay? One of the important things to do, one, is to make sure that the diabetes is controlled and reversed, okay? And then it's going to be a process, including the need for vitamin Bs. Your vitamin Bs are very critical in nerve repair. So you can't just take MSM on its own. And that depends on, actually, it also depends on how damaged the nerve was. So control the diabetes. Yes, take the MSM. It's not going to be harmful in any way, but you need vitamin Bs as well. You need some fats as well. And what else? Yeah, that's about what I can think about. And you may need some treatments to just start stimulating the nerves to work well.
Okay, thank you for that. So it's vitamin B is what they need to be mindful of, as well as the other bits of advice. Okay, so here's a question on YouTube. This person's asking, please can you spell out the remedy for improving the ADH, antidiuretic, ADH, thank you. Please, if you mentioned, I don't know if you meant that, said that earlier, because I was trying to deal with the issues that were happening. So did you spell out the name of the
valerian?
Remedy?
VALERIAN, valerian.
Thank you very much. And then there was another question asking about night. There's been a few questions actually about hot sweats. One was hot flashes day and night, and hot flushes rather, day and night in a 77-year-old male. And another person asked on YouTube, what can they take for night sweats? So night sweats is a issue right now for many. And I know you did say earlier, not just what can I take for it, but what's the balance of my hormones? What's causing my hormones to be imbalanced? I know you kind of addressed that earlier.
Yeah, but also not all night sweats are caused by hormonal imbalances. You know, some people, they're just toxic. So you sweat to get rid of toxins. So going through a detox process will help. Some people are retaining a lot of fluid. Some people, their kidneys are not working, so their body's using the skin as a way. So that's why I always say to people, the question, what can I take? As much as I know that is what your challenge is, but you will be given the wrong answer, because somebody could say take vitamin D, assuming that you've got vitamin D deficiency. But it could be, like I said, it could be because your kidneys are not working. It could be because you're toxic. It could be hormonal imbalance. So if we don't know what's causing, it could be that you've got a hyperthyroidism, and so you're not able to regulate body temperature very well. So we need to find what the cause is so that we can give the appropriate therapy. And I'm sorry that I can't individually ask you questions about what's causing you, to find out what's causing your night sweats. And some people have a very hyper sympathetic nervous system. So they sweat, not just at night, you know, Sharon, these are people that must carry 3 shirts during the day, you know, because they're just sweating all the time. And actually they say it's quite embarrassing. And for that, we need to give them something. Sometimes I actually use medication to just, you know, kind of shut down their sympathetic nervous system only for like a day or 2 or 3, and then take them off it, because you don't want to do that. It affects other systems in a bad way. So the cause is important so that we know how to address it. I'm sorry I couldn't be more specific, my friends.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. And there's another question asking about goiters. Let's see. Does having a 5 to 6 centimeter goiter affect the thyroid system?
You would have to do a thyroid function test. One of the reasons the thyroid grows is, so let's say the hypothalamus says, thyroid, I need you to make more of the thyroid hormone, but the thyroid is not making enough thyroid hormone. What the hypothalamus is going to do is going to tell the growth hormone, look, the thyroid is not producing enough thyroid hormone, grow it so that it can make more, okay? So then your thyroid can get big, but actually big as it is, it's making just enough. So what's important that is to not just look that your thyroid is big, is to look at the thyroid function, the thyroid levels, how much of the hormone it's able to make. So some people will have a large thyroid, but the levels are normal. It still means something is wrong and your body is compensating. Remember, I always says that the body compensates and adapts. So you need to correct that, but you have enough thyroid in your body, but you needed a bigger thyroid gland to be able to do that. And often that could be because of lack of iodine. And once you start introducing iodine into your diet, we had a lady who had a huge thyroid, and we put her on, I think she was on sea moss, and she was also on nutritional yeast flakes, with also some seaweed sometimes mixed together, and her thyroid just literally shrank, and she just had a normal thyroid function test. So you need to be able to work with your doctor to do blood tests to see how much of the hormone you have in your system, and then you will know what it is you ought to do. Look, with the hormonal system, it's not just easy to just take on things on yourself. Whenever I suspect that somebody has a hormonal imbalance, I do blood tests, because like I said, it's very important to get the levels right, okay? Too much or too low is going to cause a hormonal imbalance. So it's always important to have blood tests, and then I'll be able to say for sure, look, this is what is happening. Because just because you have an enlargement of a certain, you know, your pancreas is enlarged, for say, doesn't necessarily mean you're making more insulin. So it's important to have blood works to know exactly what is happening. Then you will know what it is you ought to do.
Okay, thank you. You know, the general practitioner, when you study medicine, if you want to go down the line of being a GP, for instance, would you be trained in hormonal imbalances, or is that part of the training, looking at that, or is that something that came more to your understanding the more you took on the holistic method of dealing with problems?
General practitioners are supposed to know a little bit about everything in the body. And then depending on their interest, obviously, then they would, they will delve. So because I like to know a lot about everything, especially about how the human body works. So yes, when I was a general practitioner working conventionally, I had to know a little bit about everything about the human body. Then if you needed a specialist to deal with hormones, you would refer somebody to an endocrinologist, okay? So that is somebody who knows a lot about only the hormonal system. So then they start breaking down the body. I don't like to break down the body, because then they're going to neglect all other things. They focus just on one thing. So that's why physicians sometimes are better to go to, because physicians are supposed to know a lot about everything. And I suppose I'm pretending to be a physician. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That was just a question that came to mind. Now, someone's asking, are children allowed to take maca powder? Is that something that we can give to children?
I'm actually not sure. You would just have to check.
Check what it says on the tin.
Yeah. Yeah, but do you want your child to have more energy?
That's a good point. That's
I
a
don't
good
know about that.
It depends on the child, but yes, some may be
Um,
low in energy, but there's obviously a reason why.
Exactly. Be mindful of children. Yeah, their body is supposed to be working very well. But with the herbs, also make sure that you get the right dosaging. Sorry that I'm in darkness. We have power failure and my curtains are closed. But you don't need to see my face anyway.
Well, we're glad that you still have power so that you can communicate with us. So that's wonderful. We can put up with the dark, with the silhouette. Someone's asking, or they're saying that they suffer from body odor and they eat a healthy diet. What could be the cause of the body odor? Since, is this? Sorry, this is since the menopause has started. So I'm assuming it's a lady suffering with body odor, has a healthy diet. Why do you think they may be having body odor since the menopause started?
It'd be interesting to look at different body products. Like I said, one of the major cause that we don't often look at in terms of body odor is the bacteria that's colonizing our skin, especially the armpits and other places like that. So I don't know, when are you guys doing a thing on essential oils and to do with the skin? Perhaps they need to change what they put on their body. And that will change. I mean, if you're using things like antibacterial soap, and you're getting rid of a lot of your good bacteria on your skin, so then you're going to be colonized by bacteria that's not supposed to be there, and that's going to affect the odor that comes out. But I can do a bit more research into. I've treated a lot of women. I must say, this is the first time I've heard of a woman in menopause with body odor. So I can do a bit more research, and also how we dress. When women talk about body odor, I suppose I always assume armpits, but a lot of the times women tend to overdress. Yeah, they'll be wearing so many layers in a certain part, and then there's no fresh air going in there. And I mean, I've had women come in and consult, and they said, I have a fishy smell. And I said, well, that's because you're wearing like 5 layers covering that one part of the body. And they will tell you that on weekends when they're wearing dresses in their home, that the smell is not there. So remember that also circulation becomes very important. I know it seems silly, but I actually had a number of women come in and consult wanting me to smell them, and I said, yes, I know that smell, but that's because they were working and they had to wear leggings, they had to wear tights, and then they had to wear these construction pants, and therefore there was a smell associated with it. But when they were home on the weekends and they were just wearing cotton clothing and cotton underwear, there was none of that. So those are some, but I can look into more research as to could anything else be contributing.
Okay, right, we're wrapping up now shortly because time is pressing on. Jonathan, do you see any more questions? I can see something about, Dr. Louisa, your contact details, or was there anything else on there, Jonathan? You're muted.
Say anything else? That's what I was going to mention. Someone is asking for Dr. Louisa contact.
Okay, so that will have to go in the chat if Dr. Louisa wishes to share that, because we're not going to be sharing the screen again. Or you could look at previous presentations on YouTube that Dr. Louisa has presented. Oh, yes, there is one more question. Okay. How do I know if my thyroid isn't working properly or affecting my hormones? I do find it difficult to lose weight, but I'm thinking it's due to insulin resistance.
Well, insulin is part of the hormonal system. So as I said, it's important to go to your doctor and get blood works done. That's the fastest way to find out. And if all your hormones are normal, then it could be because of the microbiome. If you don't have a certain bacteria in your gut, you will struggle to lose weight. Okay. With insulin resistance, there are blood tests that you can do to check, and exercise is one of the ways to improve insulin sensitivity, and reducing fat in your diet also helps with insulin sensitivity, because it's the fat cells that block insulin from being able to do its work. But it could also be deficiency of chromium and vanadium, so that insulin is not working well. So step one, go to your doctor, get blood tests done, see how your thyroid is doing. Anybody who says they struggle with weight loss, thyroid function, and just the hormonal profile, thyroid, insulin as well as what you call your female reproductive hormones. Okay, and if all of those then are normal, I would say start taking fermented foods like your sauerkraut. It could be that you don't have the right bacteria in your gut, and then up your exercise. Yeah, and then just have a look. If not, you need an intense consultation. And remember, if it is hormonal, it's going to take a while. Really, hormonal balancing takes a moment.
Thank you again, once again, for another great answer that's directly in relation to the question. And I'm hoping that the individual will have learned something. In fact, I'm hoping that I know many people have learned something based on the comments. So we really, really appreciate what everyone's saying. Now, I'm going to ask us to end with a prayer, and I'm going to actually ask Dr. Louise if you could pray for us. But before that, I just want to let you know that we've got some more exciting presentations coming up. As Dr. Louisa said, she's going to try and disappear for a bit so we can start to miss her. So in the absence of her, we're going to have on the, I'm taking you into November now, so we're going 2 weeks in advance. We're going to have a weekend special with Barbara O'Neill on the 6th and 7th of November, or is it the 5th and the 6th? I think it's the Saturday and Sunday of November with with Barbara O'Neill. And then
it's the 6th and the
following
7th,
2 weeks, sorry?
The 6th and the 7th.
The 6th and the 7th, thank you, Jonathan. And then the following 2 weeks, we have on schedule presentations by thank you, Edgar, he's saying 6th and the 7th, by David Bartholomew, a physiotherapist. He'll be looking at the musculoskeletal system. So please continue to stay tuned, and God willing, we'll still be able to share and present on this system. We may need to change the password. So look out on the posters if we're going to be presenting a new password to get the presentations going, and look on our groups as well. So just be mindful of that. Is there anything else that you need to say, Jonathan, or did you want to recap on the challenge for this week?
No, that's fine, Sharon. I can't speak much now.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. If anybody wants to recap, remember we do have this recorded live on YouTube, so we are going to stop the recording very shortly. We're just going to end with a word of prayer, if that's fine by you, Dr. Louisa.
That's fine. I saw Colin, I was asking in the chat what it is I've done. I'm very passionate about people being healthy. We're establishing a new lifestyle center. It's actually almost done. Praise be to God. We've been doing a lot of home visits, and I had a wonderful session with young people. I believe, and as my favorite writer writes, an army of young people rightly trained can do a lot of things. So we had a wonderful session with this morning with some young people who were looking to change their lifestyle, and they were having challenges, physical health and mental health. And really it was a blessing, and they accept the message. You know how they like what they like, but they were very receptive. So I don't know if it's part of, the work as TTI that we're doing that causing setbacks, but there's a God in heaven, and he's in charge of all things, and challenges come. The book of James James 1 verse 2 says, we must rejoice and count it all joy when challenges come, because they try our patience. And when our patience is complete, we shall be perfect, lacking nothing. So I have learned to not be discouraged by network, by people doing whatever, to just continue doing that which is your duty to do, and do it with love and care and kindness as much as possible. So the challenges that come, let's take them on head on, eat our and drink our ashwagandha and rejoice that there's a God in heaven. So we will close in prayer so that we can just pray for everybody. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Our dear God and our Heavenly Father, all glory, honor, and praise unto you, our Heavenly King, for the blessings of the Sabbath. We thank you that you give us a day when we can stop from the many things that we do and just give freely to your people the knowledge that you have freely given unto us, Father. We pray that this ministry may continue to grow and that people may be blessed. I see a lot of people and they are sick. And I thank you for each and every presenter, for the host, for all the members of TTI, and for the people who week by week come on this show, trusting that we will give them knowledge that will edify them and help them in being healthy and strong. For every person that has done and implemented that which we have taught, which we believe to be truth, Father Lord, I pray that you may add an extra rich blessing upon them, Father Lord. You have said that all things work for good for them who trust you and are called according to your name. So I pray that all things may work for good, even the challenges that came today, you may turn them and work them for good, Father Lord. Be with everyone, bless us in the week that is coming. Let us take the challenge and may we see the rewards of what it is we do. All of these things we pray, not because we're worthy or because we're wise or because we're intelligent, but because of the grace and the love and the gift of your Son, Jesus Christ. In his name we pray with thanksgiving in our hearts. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. So at this point, we're going to say goodbye to our those who are watching on YouTube. And thank you for all your questions. We know there's some on there that we haven't been able to deal with to take those questions, but stay tuned. You never know, if you join us on our Telegram groups, perhaps you could send us direct messages even, and we can hopefully address those questions.
Would you
If
like
not,
to put that up, Sharon, before you go? The link for the group?
Okay, I will have a go. So where are we now? I think this is the one. I'll do what I asked Dr. Louisa to do. No, I think we're still on disabled, so that's fine. Okay, and let's just quickly do a quick slideshow. You can see from the beginning. Okay, this isn't actually on slide screen mode, but you know what I'm trying to say, slideshow mode. Here we go, here's our Telegram groups. So there's the groups. You are free to join us. There we go, that's better. You're free to join us on these groups, and please remember to observe the group guidelines of etiquette, not posting things from anything that's not necessarily related to the group that you're joining. And if you have anything to share that's to do with other organizations, please come through the admin before posting. Thank you, we really appreciate that. Is that okay? So bye-bye those of you who, let me just stop the screen share so you can see who's waving. I'm not just a little image in the corner. Bye-bye those of you who have joined us on YouTube. It's bye from me, Sharon, and from Jonathan.